Hello, Internet. It is I, the Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions. Today we're going to be talking about Renfield. So, as usual, we're going to be going over the pros and cons. So, let's get to it. Pros, our cast here. Let's see. First, we got Nicholas Hoult as Renfield. Now, Nicholas Hoult, he's been quite a few movies, in the past decade or so. He was Beast in the X-Men, or the recent X-Men movies, starting with First Class, where I thought he did all right. He did fine, although my personal favorite live-action Beast will always be Kelsey Grammer. He'll never be topped in my eyes. But he did fine as Beast, and he became very recognizable because of that. He was also in Warm Bodies, which was a nice little hit. There's also, let's see, I guess The Favorite. He was in that. I guess that counts. And then last year he had The Menu, which did pretty okay. I thought that movie was gonna tank. I didn't think it was gonna do well at all, but it did better than I expected. So there's that. So he's definitely a recognizable face, no doubt about it, thanks to his work on the X-Men movies and Mad Max Fury Road. Shoot. How could I forget about that? Yeah, I'd say he's definitely a recognizable face. Well, but the real star of the show here, in my opinion, is Nick Cage. When I found out that Nick Cage was gonna be Dracula in this movie, I was like, I gotta watch it. I need to see this. I need to see Nick Cage as Dracula. I need it. But yeah, Nicolas Cage. Oh man, what a just trying to explain this man it would take too long to explain him. But he's had a lot of movies, like an overwhelming amount of movies come out. But I'm only gonna talk about like the main ones, the most important ones. So his career started off good, started off pretty strong. What the hell? What the heck is Moonstruck? Trying to think of the first one that I recognize. Leaving Las Vegas. I think he won an Oscar for that movie. Yeah, Nick Cage won an Oscar. That's a fact. He had the 90s. It was big for him. You got The Rock. You got Con Air. Face Off. All hits. All big hits that have fan bases to this day, especially Face Off. City of Angels, I think, did all right. Snake Eyes did 8 mm. That did meh. Gone 60 Seconds did really good. The Family Man, I think, did fine. What City of Angels? Yeah, that did fine. I don't know. The City of Angels. One of these movies had like, I think he had like a bad accent. Oh, Captain Corleone's mandolin, which was a bomb. He had a horrible, god awful accent in that. That was mocked relentlessly. But after that, things kind of took a bad turn. Let's see, the Wind Talkers, that tanked very hard. Adaptation, I think that was more of like a minor hit. But I'm trying to see, National Treasure, big old hit right here, and as was its sequel in 2007, Book of Secrets. I'm amazed they never went forward with another National Treasure 3 after that. You think they would have made a third one, but they still haven't. So, what's, like, I don't know what happened there, but yeah, the National Treasure movies did really good for him. You got the World Trade Center movie that did pretty decent. Ghost Rider did all right, despite being a really trashy movie. Trying to think. Knowing was a solid hit. Kick Ass was a solid hit. Things got very weird after this. I'm not counting The Cruise because that's animated. I don't want to count that. I usually don't count animated movies anyway because I don't think they're super relevant, but it's just me. Also, I'm not counting Teen Titans Go. He voiced Superman in that. I don't even remember that. I know he was in Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man Noir. I know that, but that was just a voice, so I'm not counting that. And then yeah, so he's had some hits in the past, but there's so many movies. There's movies I haven't even talked about. I will talk about later when we get to the cons, because although they were flops, they they are worth mentioning. But yeah, Nick Cage has had hits in the past, so and he's super recognizable, all thanks to the internet, because the internet loves this man. Oh, they embrace Nicolas Cage. So, like the internet just they love to embrace certain people. They embrace Nicolas Cage. They embrace Keanu Reeves, Jack Black, Brendan Fraser. It is a long list. So yeah, I say Nick Cage's presence is definitely a pro. Stuff. He's the reason why I want to watch the movie. Next up, we have Aquafina. She's been in a lot of, a decent amount of movies the past few years. Let's see, Ocean's 8, Crazy Rich Asians. Both of those did really well. I still kind of confused why people call Ocean's 8 a flop, even though it made money technically. I think that's weird. The Farewell, which was a big like awards movie. Yeah, Jumanji: The Next Level. That was a strong hit. Not counting Raya and the Last Dragon, because Shang-Chi didn't do great in the grand scheme of things, but when it came out, it was one of the bigger hits to come out. Okay? It was the first pandemic movie to make 200 million domestic. That can't be disputed at all. So, yeah. Uh So yeah, I mean, she's definitely a recognizable face, especially in the last few years with some of the movies she's been in. So wait, she's in The Little Mermaid. What? The new Little? I didn't even know that. Wait, hold on. Who's even in this? Javier Bardem. I'll talk about the Little Mermaid remake when we get to May. I have a lot to say about that movie, and a lot of it is not good. But yeah, Aquafina, I'd say her presence is a pro. And last, my man Ben Schwartz. Oh, this dude is really interesting to me. Like he's done a lot of live action stuff. I know I think he was in Parks and Rec. But I mainly know him for his voiceover work. And this man is responsible for voicing not one, not two, but three characters they're all connected by one color, and that color is blue. I mean, first you have Dewey. You have Dewey in the DuckTales reboot from 2017. You got Leonardo from Rise of the TMNT, and then you got Sonic in the Sonic movies. It's so weird. I feel like he did that on purpose. Just for the joke. And I mean, I'm not mad about that because I think he's great. And not to mention there was like another animated show that was like even like before DuckTales, the DuckTales reboot, like Randy Cunningham, which wasn't a huge hit, but it has like a small cult following. But the rest of the roles he's on have much bigger followings. But yeah, Ben Schwartz, I say he's a pro because I like the guy. Okay, so I have a little bit of bias here, but a lot of people like Ben Schwartz, and I'm one of those people. So I say he's a pro here. So, and Chris McKay is directing this. So Chris McKay, he directed the Lego Batman movie back in 2017. It's a movie that a lot of people really like. I didn't love it. I know it was a hot take. I'm aware it's a very hot take. um, Granted, my expectations may have been a little too high. I only seen it once. Maybe it'll be better if I watch it again. But I mean, the movie still got a good reception and it made money. There's also the Tomorrow War, but that's on Amazon, so I can't really discuss that too much. Dungeons and Dragons. He was supposed to make that movie, but he went on to do he couldn't he did Renfield instead, but he did make the story for that movie. While Dungeons and Dragons is not doing good at all financially, it's at least good. It's a solid movie. So, you know, I think the Tomorrow War got a pretty meh response overall. But Chris McKay, I'd say, I don't know if he's really a. And you know what? I don't even going to mention him. He's not really much of a factor. But the cast, I say, are good. I'd say they're all pros. I think they'll drive people to watch this movie because they're all recognizable. And hey, I say it's always good to be recognizable for movies. So that's a pro. Another pro is that Universal's been pushing this decently hard. Obviously, most of their marketing budget is going towards Mario, but at least they're not completely burying Renfield. Like, they're giving it a chance. I've seen plenty of ads for Renfield the past few weeks, so they are giving it a chance. So yeah, decent ad campaign. I would label that as a pro. Another pro is that this is going to be one of two movies, well, really three movies that people actually care about this weekend. At least new movies people care about. You know, it's between like this, The Pope's Exorcist, and Suzume. But Suzume is probably going to be like a step below Pope's Exorcist and Renfield. Renfield probably has the most marketing muscle behind it. And it stands out amongst the crowd for like being like a horror comedy. So, and when it comes to like direct competition, I mean, I guess, well, Scream 6, that's like a month old at this point, so that doesn't even matter. I mean, I don't know. I guess this weekend it has a shot at being number 2. Let's just say that. It has a shot at being number 2. It won't be near the bottom. So that's a pro, I guess. A very minor pro, though. Another pro I can think of is Universal. They've been having a really good 2023 so far. They got Megan, which was a strong hit early in the year. The first hit of 2023. Knock at the Cabin did fine. Cocaine Bear did good. Mario's been doing insane. So yeah, 2023 has been great. I don't think this is gonna keep up with that hot streak. I don't think it's gonna keep the hot streak going, but I mean, Universal, they've been having a really good 2023. So yeah, I'd say that's a pro. Trying to think some other pros. I think that's really it with pros, as far as I know. Okay, cons. All right, so reviews for this movie, they're really meh, hella meh. It's like right at the verge between like fresh and rotten when it comes to review score. It's like at 60%. All it takes is just one more rotten review and it goes down to the 59%. But 60%, that's not terrible by any means, but it's not great. Audience score is at 80%, which is better, but still not ideal. And its cinema score, which I do have, is a B minus, which is about right. It's pretty much what I expected for this movie. Cocaine Bear also got a B minus. So yeah, I'm not shocked that it got a score like that. But yeah, overall reception it's not as good as I thought it would be. I'm planning on still watching it. I really hope this movie doesn't disappoint me. If it does, that's gonna hurt. Cause I saw the trailer. I'm like, this could be really good. So if I'm disappointed, I'm gonna be sad. But I'll let you know how the movie is. When I do my April recap, like in May. But yeah, reviews, reactions, not ideal. So I'm gonna label that as a con. Another con is that there's too much going on at the box office. There's too many movies coming out this weekend. There's too many movies out right now. The big one, obviously, being Mario. But another problem is that you have The Pope's Exorcist. And I already mentioned The Pope's Exorcist video. You have this and Renfield, both horror movies. Granted, one's a lot more serious than the other. They're both still horror. Having two movies, the same genre, come out at the same time is bad because they kill each other. They ruin each other's they ruin each other's box office, and nobody wins. And that's and judging by early numbers, that's what's happening. So yeah. It's a little more serious in the case of Renfield because Renfield's kind of expensive, I believe. It's let me look at the budget. Uh Renfield. It's $65 million apparently, which is a little pricey. So yeah, dealing with Pope's Exorcist, not to mention dealing with Evil Dead Rise next weekend, that's gonna hurt a lot. So that's a con, big con. Um Another con is that Nicolas Cage. I mean, sure, he is loved by the internet, but that doesn't mean people are gonna automatically watch his stuff in the cinema. I mean, the man's had plenty of bombs on his resume, pre-internet meme them. Um, Trying to think of some notable ones, the important ones. Trying to think. I already mentioned Wind Talkers and Captain Corleone's Mandalorian. Is it Mandolin? Whatever. It's Matchstick Man that did bleh. Lord of War, and Weatherman both did really bad. The Ant Bully didn't do well. That was a voiceover role. And that's a movie I still remember for some reason, despite being like very obscure. It's one of those weird childhood movies that I still remember. It's weird. Wicker Man, that's a classic right there. It did terrible, and it's a terrible movie, but it's an amazingly terrible movie. That is that is pure comedy right there. I mean, anyone, if you've been on the internet longer than 15 years, you know about The Wicker Man. You've at least heard of this movie. You know about the bees. Nick Cage screaming about not the bees, not the bees. Ah, that is cinema right there. Not to mention him going around in a bear suit, and he just go around punching people. Beautiful. That movie is perfection. It is comedy perfection right there. So, but yeah, it did terrible though. Let's see next. Bangkok Dangerous. Bad. All those did bad. Sorcerer's Apprentice was a huge bomb. Season of the Witch. Drive Angry. Ugh. Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. Why? And then all Left Behind. A whole bunch of direct to DVD streaming movies because that dude really had to pay. He was like into some hardcore debt. Um, and then last year, he had Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, where he played like a fictionalized version of himself. That movie, despite being really good, did terrible financially, which definitely is one of those examples of just because the internet cares doesn't mean the general public cares. And I feel like the same might happen here with Renfield, which is kind of a shame, but that's just how it is sometimes. So I feel like this is gonna have a similar fate to Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. So yeah, Nick Cage's presence may cause clicks, but I don't know if it'll draw tickets. So, well, I guess you could say he draws blood, but he doesn't draw tickets. So yeah, Nick Cage's spotty track record con. Trying to think of another con. I think I mentioned the major cons. I guess I can mention how horror comedy can be a little tricky as a genre because you have the problem of being too scary to be funny, too funny to be scary. Zombieland was able to avoid that, but not every movie can be Zombieland. But I mean, I guess there's Cocaine Bear, which was also kind of like that wasn't like I guess kind of horror because you have like a bear going around killing people. But that was more of like a dark comedy. I guess Megan would count as a horror comedy to an extent. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that did well, but that movie had a big old meme campaign with the whole dance scene. This movie doesn't have a dance scene, as far as I know. And so, yeah, this doesn't have like that same level of hype that Megan had earlier this year. So, yeah, being like a horror comedy, a historically tricky genre that has had a lot of failure, I'm going to say that's a con. And I think that's really it. So, I guess I can mention Dracula. Let's mention Dracula. Let's talk about Dracula. Vampire movies. We are going to ignore Twilight because it deserves to be ignored. I guess just Morbius. That was a big old meme movie that well, I watched, unfortunately, and it was bad. Trying to think of Dracula Untold. That did okay overall, but yeah, like there's that Dark Shadows that did pretty trying to think of some other Dracula movies or vampire movies. There's a lot of vampire movies out there. I mean, vampires are popular, but most of them just only do moderate. They do moderate at best when it comes to the box office. I mean, sure, there's like Blade, Blade 2, not so much Blade 3, but um yeah, Dracula is kind of spotty when it comes to the box office. So, yeah, that's definitely a con. And I think that's it. So, opening weekend, ooh, I really thought this was gonna open with like between 15 to 20 million. Boy, I was stupid. Oh wait, Thursday preview. It's not great. 900,000. That's only like 50,000 higher than Pope's Exorcist, which is not ideal. um Renfield. What can I compare this to? Like weird movies. Um Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I mean, that was the last Nick Cage movie. Let's just do that. What was its preview number? 835,000. So, I mean, it's better than that, but not really. So, that's not great. I don't expect double digits for Renfield at all. I really thought it would, I really thought it could, but it's not. So, I'm going to say same with Pope's Exorcist, 8 to 10 million. And it's total 20 to 30, the same as Pope's Exorcist. So, that's, yeah, pretty lackluster to say the least. But yeah, that's it. So, two more movies to talk about. Suzume, Sweetwater, and that's it. The weekend's almost over. Okay, it's almost done. Just a little bit longer. So, yeah, that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. Want to check out more videos on the homepage? You go right. You want to check out like box office predictions, that playlist. Want to watch any of my prediction videos I made this year or the past few years? Want to do that? Go right ahead. There's also the canceled series where I go over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. I've covered Renfield once, right? Once. That was episode 110. I covered it alongside A Haunted Mansion, which is coming out this year, and Father's Stew. I covered it alongside those two movies. So, you want to watch that episode or any other episodes I've done, all 185 episodes, you want to binge them all from beginning to now, want to watch them all in any order, doesn't matter. You want to watch them, go right ahead. I encourage it. And there's also box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. What is it? March recap will come out later today. So stay tuned. Like after I sleep, I will make that video. So stay tuned for that. But if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I made on the channel, you can go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.